Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. James here as ever for today's very important video all about what is the difference between ACCA and ACA. I get this question I think every day, whether that's on Instagram, as you can see from this poll up here, asking for me to do this video, along with other comments from professionals and students around the world on TikTok, Facebook, whatever it may be. So hence for today's video. If this is the first time you've visited my YouTube channel before, my name is James, I'm an ACCA qualified member from the UK, and on my channel I help out accounting students and professionals around the world become qualified and share my insights and experience. So for fairness in today's video and to be as objective as possible, I'm going to be giving my honest opinion with my research and findings that I found online from credible resources. I'll be putting all of the actual references and links in the description of this video below, so feel free to check them out. But for context of the video as well, just so you understand my background, what's my sort of accounting journey, I graduated in 2013 with exemptions, so I went down the actual ACCA route. After I finished university, I did a summer placement in North Carolina, America, before coming back to the UK after that to actually take up an ACCA study contract at a small practice. After when I finished that, it was more of a sort of accounts preparation, taxation, advising clients role. So I did my 3 years there, and as you can see, I'll do a little point up here as to me receiving my ACCA certificate in 2017 when I qualified. I know the hairstyle, the shirts, it's just so you get to know me a bit more. Then sort of after that, I went into a career of being a lecturer, and that has been now for 5 years. I went on to complete my master's, along with winning a few other things, so that was very nice as well. But since COVID-19's happened, I've set up the channel as you're watching the video right now, and I'm in the process of actually launching an online business, so taking all that accounting knowledge and then applying it to a business now, which is really, really sweet. So if you'd like to follow my actual journey, feel free to subscribe and just hit the button below. And if you find the content of the video helpful, make sure you give it a massive like and thumbs up below so that more accounting professionals and students around the world can see the content and hopefully benefit from it. If you have any other questions or queries from the video, make sure you leave me a comment below. I answer them all and I'll do my best to help you out wherever you may be on there. So in the video itself, I'll be discussing as we go through the backgrounds of the two accounting bodies, comparing and contrasting between the two themselves, and then my sort of final overview thoughts of the sort of usual common questions as to, James, why did you pick one over the other? And of course, as ever on the channel, you get my honest opinion. So as a sort of little introduction to sort of set the scene, to sort of help you out no matter what stage of your accounting career you may be, sort of leaving school, or maybe you're qualified 10-15 years of experience, and maybe you're watching this on YouTube to say, oh, what's this chap going to say on here? This could be interesting. I might see him at a CPD event in the future. Well, there's more than one way to actually become a qualified accountant, but let me just get the record straight before the video goes on and I say which one's better in which area. But the ACCA and the AC qualifications are both seriously prestigious global accounting qualifications, okay? Both can open up a variety of attractive career opportunities, and letters after your name, once you're actually qualified, can just open so many doors, as I've found from my experience, and no doubt from you speaking with other qualified members around the world. It's just the best feeling when you actually get that final email and text to say you are qualified. And just to put it in context for you as well, I'll put it in the edit as well, as to, it might be up here, might be down there, that 51% of CEOs at FTSE 100 companies have a finance background, and nearly a fifth of them have an accounting qualification. So that's taken directly from ICAW, so from ACA themselves. So it just shows you the actual qualifications themselves are just so high in demand with prestige, and it comes down to your personal sort of situation and preference as to which route you take, in my opinion. But for the sort of eagle-eyed viewer, and someone said this to me in a comment online, but they went, oh, well, the first thing you should mention in your video, James, is that ACCA has one more letter than ACA. So Tom, I said I'd put it in the video for you, so thank you very much. He's one of the subscribers, so you'll enjoy that. But there are certainly many similarities between the two. That said, though, there are some differences as well that I want to make you aware of within this video, so I hope it helps out. So first of all, let's start off the ball rolling with a bit of background on here. Maybe you've never heard of the two before and you're interested in accounting maybe. So the question first I always get asked is, which one is the oldest on there? Okay, so I've been fortunate enough to actually visit both of the headquarters for ACA and ACCA. They're both based in London, so if you look up here you can see some dodgy haircuts and bad dress sense on there as well, undercover at the ACA one at a conference. But just to set the precedent straight on here, that the ACCA stands for the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, and they were founded in 1904, whereas the ACA, and this is where I actually find that people get a bit confused between the two, ACA is the qualification from the ICAEW, and that's the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. And for the record, they were founded in 1880 on there. So ICAEW is the eldest on there. Okay, so first tick to them, as to, I get that question all the time, but more importantly, that's going to help you out on here. Which has the most global members and students now? So this is all in terms of size. Well, firstly, let's bring up the stats on the screen here. So as per 2021, ACCA has 233,000 fully qualified members and 536,000 active students around the world. Whereas ACA, on the other hand, from their 2020 annual review, that's the most up-to-date accounts I could find online, have 157,801 qualified members and 31,656 actively studying students. So as you can see on there, from a size perspective, ACCA is the larger of the two. But then you have to say, well, okay, if ACCA is the larger of the two, the third point on here would be, is then, well, which is the most internationally recognised? This is a classic question which you may be watching this and saying, I already know the answer, James. Well, I think it's fair to say that the ACCA qualification is seen as the more broader of the two qualifications, covering a wider range of actual topics and syllabuses. So this opens up a sort of wide range of career paths across different countries, different industries, in practice. But again, the argument is there as well that the ACA also has that, because ACA has a greater proportion of members, just to be aware, in the UK and is less internationally focused. Hence, linking back to the overall names in the professional bodies, so we have actually Institution of actual England and Wales on there. So just to give you a bit more background on here so that you understand the context of this point, it's in 2019, ACCA had 17 joint exam partnerships with national accounting bodies in other countries on top of that. And just to make a little comparison, ACA from the previous actual documents and data that are found online, ACA has 8,349 international students out of the 31,656 that were actively studying. So in other words, ACA is definitely more UK focused, and ACCA is definitely the more internationally recognised, in my opinion, and from the numbers on there. But again, that is not to say that if you are ACA qualified or you're currently studying with the ICAEW, of course you can go and work overseas. I know ACA qualified members who are working overseas in a variety of different countries. It's just the ACCA is bigger from the numbers, as we know, and it's just more internationally recognised. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to give it to them on there. So ACCA takes that one for me. I also get the question of which is the quickest to complete now. So again, just to give you a bit of background on this, ACCA requires you to have 3 years of qualifying practical experience on here, so this is known as your PER, in a relevant role that relates to the examinations that you're doing. And this is signed off by your actual workplace mentor with some objectives on there, applying your skills within that workplace, within your role. And just to be crystal clear, ACCA has 13 exams that you need to complete, along with your actual professional ethics and professional skills module. So that's the ACCA covered on there. The ACA, on the other hand, also requires practical work experience, but for theirs it has to be 450 days of relevant work experience in an ICAEW approved provider. So you can see the slight difference there, which can take between 3 to 5 years pending the employer, pending the role that you actually go into. Then you also have to pass, if you're starting from the start to the finish, 15 exams compared to ACCA's 13, and you still have to do professional development and an application of skills, 2 scenarios, and finally an ethics and professional skills module. So a few more exams, and it can take you a touch longer depending on the sort of role you're in. But all in all, both are similar, I would say. Most ACCA and ACA members I know took 3 years staying in the same role, but on average, as it states on their website, ACA can take a touch longer. It all depends on the employer. But it's different types of employers, as we discussed, because ACAs, they have to be actual qualifying approved providers on there. So just be aware that most employers will require you to stay an extra year, okay? So yes, you need 3 years to actually qualify as a member, but if you go into a study contract, and if you don't know what an accounting study contract is, feel free to check it out. I've done a video on this on my channel, but you'd actually have to do an extra payback year to actually pay off your studies, because as a qualified accountant myself, and if you're studying yourself in a study contract, the costs rack up, and it's a contract between you and the employer that if you were to leave, you would have to pay back the previous 12 months of studying. So hence qualify, then work another 12 months, and then you don't have to pay any of your studying fees back. So in terms of the quickest to complete, I would say they're both relatively the same, 3 years at the minimum, but it all comes down to your personal preference. No one is quicker than the other on there, just to make sure we're transparent on that. The other question, I guess, is always, which is the cheapest to complete? So out of the two. Now, usually, and we talked about it earlier on before, that usually within ACCA and ACA, employers cover the costs for studying for both of them, basically, on there. This is done in the form of a study contract, not to repeat myself on there, but the costs for students such as membership, exam entry, books, tuition, varies, but they are in the same ballpark. So if you do ACA and you do ACCA, they are relatively the same on there, okay? The exemptions that applied for both ACA are payable. So if you go to university and maybe you get 7 exemptions, well, you actually have to pay an exemption fee for each of those exemptions, and they're at least over £100 each. So again, another cost on there. But I will give a shout out to SEMA as well on here, because all of the actual exemptions for SEMA are completely free as well, if you didn't know on there. But overall, in my opinion, as a general estimate, if you were to pay for all the exam fees, the registration, 3 years of membership, studying materials, any other travel costs, and not being involved in any tuition, okay, so you're self-teaching yourself through free resources and books that you buy, and you getting your head down and reading it through, from start to finish, through all the exams, I'm going to say that's going to be at least £3,000 to £4,000 from a UK perspective. If you have tuition on top of that, which is where the study contracts come into it, you'll be pushing a lot higher on there. But in terms of cost-wise, if you were to go through it and say the cost of one versus the cost of the other, they're both going to be in the same ballpark for you. Now, the big question for number 6, which is the harder to complete? And I'm sure you're at home there rubbing your hands on this, so let's break it down. Let's give you all the information. ACCA, as we touched on earlier on, has 13 exams from start to finish, whereas ACA, as I'll pop in the screenshots up here, has 15 exams. So a few more for ACA, as you can see. But this is where it gets really interesting, where the pass mark for ACCA exams is about 50% on there. Well, not about 50%, James. It is 50%. Whereas the pass mark for ACA exams, so if you sit the exam, you've got to actually get 55%. So you need a higher mark to actually pass the exam for ACA. ACCA gives you 2 hours to complete the actual applied knowledge exams, versus the ACA for their certificate level. They only give you an hour and a half on there. Okay, so you're already thinking there, right, well, we've got less time, more exams at a higher percentage. But this is where it comes into it, as to say, well, the pass rates wise on here, which again, I'll pop on the screen on here. I'm good at this editing, aren't I? Not bad for an accountant. ACCA on average for the actual applied skills papers have an actual pass mark for this. So for every 100 students that sit the exam, roughly between 40 to 50% of them actually pass. Whereas the actual range for ACA is between 70 to 80% on there. But both of them are, just to be crystal clear on this, are extremely, extremely tough. I've completed ACCA, I've gone through the exams and through my university experience. As I'm always honest on the channel, I actually failed 2 ACCA exams, came back and passed them, but they are very, very tough. Now, I've never sat an ACA exam, I've got friends who have done them before, and just running through the data on here, if I was going to give it to one, I'll be honest, for YouTube and for everyone out there, I'm going to say that ACA, based on the the greater number of actual exams you've got to do, with that higher percentage pass rate as well, I'll give it to them just slightly. I'll give it on there. But for the record, both are extremely, extremely tough on there. Now we come down to point 7 now, which I really wanted to get on record as to say which one provides the actual best job prospects. Again, it's another topical question I always get, and you're sort of weighing it up between the two. James, what if I actually went down the ACCA route? What jobs am I going to be getting, and what sort of salary range versus the ACA? And this is where, just to give you, again, more context and to praise both of them really, they are both prestigious qualifications, highly valued by employers, and both provide attractive career opportunities wherever you work around the world, in my opinion. From a salary perspective, comparing the two, this will vary, okay? And it will vary on a variety of different factors, such as location you've got on there, different experience levels, if you're working in industry or practice, the type of organisation, etc, etc. There are a variety of other ones on there. But what I've done for you is I've done a bit of background research, all taken directly from ACCA and ICAW's website. So I'll pop it on the screen now. But being pressed for figures, as you can see on here, ACCA, working with an actual recruiting agency called Page Personnel, have said on there for newly qualified members in the UK, it ranges between, on average, 28k to 40,000 of an annual salary. Whereas you see on here, we've actually got on ACA's website, on the other hand, and these are pre-COVID figures, so it's quite tough to balance them out on the same point in time. But the average salary of a newly qualified member is around the 40,000 mark. And with an average overall for all accountants in the UK, I'm basing this on, is about 63,000 on there. So all of their accountants in the UK, an average of 63, and newly qualified, it's 40,000 on there. So again, very, very close. Both professional bodies provide excellent opportunities. We know ACA is more UK focused on there as well. So again, it's so tight on there. The main point coming from here is to say, if you're currently studying and you're watching this, it's just to give you an insight that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and the opportunities out there to go and work wherever it may be around the world, and to actually be compensated with a very nice salary. You will see an increase once you actually become qualified on there, and as you can see on here, they are broadly in the same ballpark as well. So it's just to give you an insight and where to find the actual details. Have a look on the actual careers websites. They'll actually have employers on there that want to directly find you, so set up a profile. I'd definitely do that after this video. So you've got now all of those different details on there. We've gone through the average salaries, we've looked at the actual exam structures, when they were founded, how they're actually sort of set up. Well, from my experience, whether you become an ACCA qualified member or an ACA qualified member, in my eyes, that is fantastic, a brilliant achievement, and it's going to help you develop both professionally and personally. It's going to open new doors for you, and you could go and work in a variety of different sectors around the world, and you could pick out a career that you really want to go into. I know professionals that have qualified actually ACCA and then have gone on to complete their ACA, so they've actually gone on and done both. But then at the end of the day, I also know ACA members who have gone on and then also done the ACCA on top of it. So it works vice versa. So I can't narrow it down to one or the other. You may be out there watching this. You may be CIMA, CTA, CPA, or other professionally part of other professional bodies on there. It all comes down to your personal preference and sometimes as well what your employer is actually willing to offer. That's the thing. Now, overall, you can see from the account itself on here, I am ACCA qualified, and the reason why I picked ACCA is that it's the largest global professional accountancy body, and it gives me the opportunity to work anywhere around the world with the recognised qualification on there. So that was really why I actually picked it over ACA and CIMA on there, to be honest with you. But again, at the end of the day, if it's not gonna pigeonhole you to say, oh well, if you become ACA or CIMA qualified, that's it. You know, you're going to be held off from going into other fields. Not at all. It's a case of once you become qualified, then you can start to flourish. And I just want to give you just an honest opinion versus just sitting on the fence on it and saying, well, this is good here and this is good there, which I've tried to be objective as we've gone through the video. So that's really for me, because since I've been qualified and I've worked around the world, I've given talks to different organisations and worked with a variety of businesses and people who aren't from an accounting background, and you go to them and say, oh, I'm ACCA qualified, and they go, oh yeah, I do recognise that. And I've met ACCA members and ACA members, and it is recognised more internationally, which is the reason why I picked it. So it's a case of no matter which one you do, it is definitely going to help you out. And if you've got any comments from the video, or I really hope it's not going to cause any rifts or anything like that. I'm trying to be objective as possible, as I said, but as we're reiterating on here, I hope the tips and I hope the explanations and the sort of insights help you out from my experience, as throughout your actual accounting career and whether you're studying, there are always going to be highs and lows, going through those exams and working and creating that sort of work-life balance on top of it as well. As I said, all the actual articles and references from the video I put in the description below, so feel free to check them out and do your own research as to say, well, which one you want to pick and also why. But I hope that the insights from today's video have helped you out and you can come to that decision a bit more clearly as well. If you have found the video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a massive like and thumbs up so that more accounting students and professionals around the world can see this content to help them out. And if you'd like access to all my free materials and all my updates, all you have to do is just hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. If you have any other requests or actual comments on the video, just pop us a comment below. I answer them all. Be nice, it's all right. I didn't want it to be controversial today. It's just, I get the question all the time, but if you have any friends or colleagues or anyone who's looking to go into accounting, feel free to share them this video along with the actual channel details. I just wanted to get it all down on record to help out as many people as possible. That's the whole point of the channel itself. I'd just like to wish you all the best, really, in your accounting journey. I hope my new videos and experience help you out, because these are just the little bits of insights that I'd have really liked to have known earlier on in my accounting journey. And if you've got any advice or anything on those lines, as I said, just leave me a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. I've got plenty more free videos on the channel, lots of accounting resources, ACCA videos, and what I've done for you as a final treat, I've left a couple at the end here. If you click one of them, they're definitely going to help you out. It could be that little insight to help your career, or to actually give you that tip to pass your next exam. Well, as always, on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers!